Hi, I'm Dr. Chad Larson. Thanks for joining me in another episode of Keep It Real. Today I had to go to a meeting out of town, so I just wanted to shoot a quick video in my truck. Um, I wanted to share some ideas about making changes in your life. Sometimes when you're trying to make a lifestyle choice or a lifestyle change, um, it's easy to procrastinate because it seems like it's too big to take on. You might think of things like, oh, I gotta read one more book about it. Oh, I have to listen to one more podcast. There's just, I need to learn a little bit more about it. I gotta wait until this point in my life. I gotta wait until, spring comes or summer comes, or I gotta wait until my kids, are out of school. We're always kicking the can down the road when we're trying to make some bigger and, let's say, more challenging decisions in our life. And I just want to share with you some ideas about the power of making small changes. After World War II, much of Western Europe was completely destroyed, and so America and its allies had some ideas of how to help them rebuild. And that was part of what they called the Marshall Plan. The Secretary of State at the time, George Marshall, kind of had this whole concept of rebuilding. And they did a similar thing in post-World War II Japan. And in Japan, they helped them to, sometimes when resources are tight, necessity breeds ingenuity. And so some of the concepts that the Americans sort of taught the Japanese were, instead of doing some major project, major building project, or some huge industrial change, just consider, 100 small things that can be done at, a big business or a big industry. It's really helpful to just do a bunch of small things, and that could have some overall impact, just as if you did a really big thing. And so the Japanese took to this concept really heavily, and they really sort of folded that into their whole culture. And many businesses really took to this idea, and Toyota is a really good example. Decades later, after that post-World War II era, in like the 70s and 80s, their efficiency for automobile making really became kind of a model of how to do things right. And in fact, it was, so much time went by that the Americans went to the Japanese and went, wow, you guys are doing this so efficiently. What are you doing? Where'd you learn that? And it was just kind of came full circle. The things that the Americans taught the Japanese post-World War II, the Japanese got so good at it that they started to apply that to their own industries. And then they ended up reteaching the Americans how to do some of these very simple, small tasks that make big changes in their business and industries. And so it so much became a part of their culture, they gave it a name, and the name is Kaizen. And so Kaizen has now been used in multiple ways as the idea of progressive movement, making continuous improvement. And with that kind of continuous improvement, small changes is kind of at the root of it. And another sort of component of Kaizen is asking for help when you know that you need it. Or if you see somebody that needs help, offering your help. And so it's about community effort. It's about making small changes and using kind of collaboration so that everybody is improving. And this could be used in a really microscopic way in your own life. So if you're just trying to make some changes, let's say you want to lose 30 pounds, or you want to start an exercise program. If you use the concepts of Kaizen, or small changes, just change 1%. Just change something very small, but do that continuously, and before long it'll turn into a fairly sizable change. But by doing it in increments, makes it much more doable, makes it more palatable, makes it much more sustainable. And so let's say, for example, let's say you drink a couple sodas every day. Just drop one soda per day. and do nothing else with your diet or lifestyle. Just do that one thing. And then next week, start to work on something else. And then the following week, start to work on something else. Maybe you want to start a walking program. Instead of going, okay, I'm going to go start walking 45 minutes a day because that's what I read. Everything says you should be walking, 30 to 60 minutes a day. So I'm going to go out and start a 45-minute walk. Well, you're probably going to be sore. It's probably going to make you fatigued, tired. In other words, it's not going to be a real win for you. But if you go, I'm going to go for a 3-minute walk. It seems ridiculously easy, but this is important, is that you just want to take little small incremental steps. So you just walk from home or work for a minute and a half and walk back for a minute and a half. That's 3 minutes. But the next day, you're adding another minute and a half. The day after that, you're adding another minute and a half until all of a sudden you're taking a 30-minute walk. And this kind of incremental improvement makes it much more sustainable. But just biting off these small little pieces is much easier. And then you can do this with multiple things at the same time. You can make a 1% difference in multiple aspects of your life, and in a very short period of time, you're making really significant changes, but it just doesn't feel like you're making some big change because you're just doing really small pieces. So I oftentimes, have to make recommendations for patients that seem kind of overwhelming. And this is a nice way that we could start to take just small little changes, because we're trying to not meet our goals tomorrow or the next day or even next week. We're trying to make lifetime goals, and we're trying to make, lifetime changes. And it seems like so many people today are looking for that magic bullet, or looking for that major life hack. And it's almost like searching for this thing, it becomes the process, is people keep searching and searching. What's the magic bullet? What's the shortcut? What's the life hack? And by using this Kaizen concept, you can just make really small changes, make it really sustainable, and you'll really see the fruits of your labor in a very short period of time. So try it today, try it tomorrow. And it's something that I think you'll enjoy. And here's the beauty of it is, let's say you fail with it. You go, I'm going to stop drinking 2 sodas a day. And then you find yourself at the end of the day, oh man, I had 2 sodas today. And what I want you to do is just not beat yourself up, because you know what? There's always tomorrow. And tomorrow, start it over again, and start it over again. And just keep doing the process over and over again. If it fails every now and again, it's not that big of a deal. A lot of people, when they start to slip from the program, or slip from, the goals that they set, they go, the heck with it. I can't do it. It's too hard. I failed. I'm a failure. I'm never going to make these changes. And I want to encourage you that the change can be made the next hour, the next day. Right away, you can start to get right back on it and just make that 1% change. But, 1% change made every single day, pretty soon you get to your goal. And so I hope that helps. Making these little changes could end up in really improving your life and your health. So I hope it helps, and I'll talk to you next time. Until then, keep it real.